This is Terrence Banks with Information Age Financial Solutions, coming to you talking about Puerto Rico. Now, Puerto Rico is very important, and it's not getting enough coverage as it deserves. And I came across this article from the Economic Collapse blog. I encourage you to read it. The 51st U.S. state declares bankruptcy as corporate insiders sell stocks at the fastest rate since the last financial crisis. This is by Michael Snyder. The reason why it's important is because a lot of things are attached to people's pensions, and many people are really not aware of how crucial Puerto Rico is in terms of that amounts and IRAs and other accounts that usually fund for, particularly for our retirees and individuals who are expecting these kind of payments to be paid out. But let me just kind of go through the article itself, and we're going to definitely read some excerpts from it. Puerto Rico has collapsed financial and bankruptcy protection. When this was announced on Wednesday, it quickly made front page news all over the planet. For decades, Puerto Rico has been considered to be the territory most likely to become the 51st U.S. state. Now, the title kind of hints to that Puerto Rico is already the 51st state. That's actually in the works now because they're looking to become the 51st state because it allows the protection clause of getting some of the benefits that go along with it. Right now, it's kind of a colony state, to put it mildly. But let me continue on. But that is on the black burner for now because at the moment, Puerto Rico is dealing with a nightmarish financial crisis that is a result of an accelerating economic collapse. Unfortunately, many Americans still don't believe that what has happened to Puerto Rico could happen to us, even though signs of major economic trouble are emerging all around us. And that's very important to understand. Many Americans still don't believe that what has happened to Puerto Rico could happen to us. It's right on our borders, and we took for granted Detroit because it's kind of been brought out, but that was another major city. And we're going to start seeing these things fall like dominoes as the years go on. Almost 2 years ago, I issued a major warning about the debt crisis of Puerto Rico. And now the day of reckoning for America's Greece has finally arrived. Now, Michael Snyder called Puerto Rico America's Greece with good terms. With good insight. Sadly, by mountains debt and undermined by rapid population loss, Puerto Rico filed for equivalent bankruptcy protection Wednesday, an historic move that will trigger a fierce legal battle with the fate of the island citizens, creditors, and workers at stake. And again, I'm just keep kind of going over this article, but I encourage you to take a look at it yourself at the Economic Collapse blog. Like Greece, Zimbabwe, Venezuela, and so many others, what has happened in Puerto Rico shows that it is simply not possible to live way above your means indefinitely. And we've been doing that in the United States for a long time. If your debt grows much faster than your economy, eventually you reach a point where financial disaster is inevitable. This is a lesson that our leaders in Washington, D.C. desperately need to learn before it's too late for the United States. It's already too late in my opinion, but I hear his optimism saying that. Since 2007, the population of Puerto Rico has declined by 10%, and the number of jobs in that nation has declined by 20%. Is a long-term economic collapse that just continues to get even worse with each passing month. Unfortunately for Wall Street, many large U.S. financial institutions have invested very heavily in Puerto Rico bonds. And this is really when it gets really interesting, and this is the area to pay the most attention to. In fact, it's been estimated that 180 mutual funds have at least 5% of their portfolios in Puerto Rican bonds. The reason why this was done is because Puerto Rico was considered a safe haven and could never file for bankruptcy. I tell you that there's nothing safe these days, especially when we're living in times where we're on a finite planet, and eventually there's going to be a day of reckoning when you continue to pile on debt without having your economy grow at the same time. At this point, U.S. firms stand poised to lose billions of dollars as their investments become worthless, and many of these firms were totally blindsided because they were assured that this could not happen. Does it sound like many inventions that's going on? The financial collapse promises to impose deep losses on bondholders who for years snapped up Puerto Rico's securities, which are tax-free throughout the United States, and who can't file for bankruptcy. And investors bought the bonds assured that if it wasn't a legal option for Puerto Rico either. Now, many people bought those bonds with the protection that they can't file for bankruptcy, and essentially they will always be paid. The scale of the restructuring is far larger than Detroit's record-settling $18 billion bankruptcy. Now, Detroit was only $18 billion, and it's unclear how long a court proceeding will last or how deep would be the cuts that are imposed on bondholders. Again, Puerto Rico is estimated at $73 billion. It's hard to say, but without doubt, this is a major concern. Meanwhile, corporate insiders are selling stocks at the fastest pace that we have seen in 7 years. The following comes from the Business Insider. Read that part. As the investing public has continued to devour stocks, sending all three major indexes to record highs in the last few months, corporate insiders have been offloading shares to an extent not seen in 7 years, selling total $10 billion in March, according to data compiled by Trim Tabs. It's a troubling trend facing an equity market that is already grappling with its loftiest valuation since the 2000 tech bubble. Kind of messed up that word there, but you got the idea. If the people with the deepest knowledge of a company are cashing out, why should investors keep buying at current prices? What do these corporate insiders know that the rest of us do not? Because now a lot of people I've been hearing even piling back in to stocks now, right at the most riskiest time. Perhaps they're just being rational. If I was a top corporate insider at one of these unicorns that have market caps in the tens of billions of dollars, even though they are consistently losing hundreds of millions of dollars a year, I'll be selling too. And the article goes on to say in that point, it's just not getting enough coverage, and I just wanted to kind of go over it because of its importance. The crisis Puerto Rico dealt over an extended period of time, and there were plenty of warning signs. See, just like anything else, there's plenty of warning signs of people not paying attention to it. Personally, I would rather use my limited resources to get prepared for the horrific crisis that is inevitably coming, but not everyone agrees with that outlook. You may make money in the stock market by selling at the right time. Those that sold their Pets.com stock at the peak of the dot-com bubble got quite wealthy, but those that held on all the way through the stock market crash got completely wiped out. Lessons to learn. He just gave a quick excerpt from the dot-com bubble there. He ends kind of the article with saying the similar warning signs here in the U.S. have been mounted for quite a while. Just yesterday, we got more exceedingly bad news for the U.S. auto industry. And we're on a pace to absolutely smash the all-time record for most retail stores closing in a single year. And I've talked about this, over 8,500 supposed to be this year. Just because a crisis does not arrive on the exact month or year that you were anticipating does not mean that it has been canceled. And this one with Puerto Rico is going to be epic. And again, it takes a little lag time for these things to come about. I'm just going about explaining this again because of the importance of Puerto Rico, that many people were buying in those bonds because they thought they cannot be touched and they will always be able to get their money back. But nothing, and I mean nothing in this world is guaranteed, especially when you come into times like we're living in, where we're conceivably, economies are based on ever more debts and we're tapped out. And Puerto Rico is just an example of what's to come. And it's right on our shores. We already had Detroit. We already had a couple other places in California. But this one is going to be huge and massive. And we really need to pay more attention to this. This is Terrence Banks with Information Age Financial Solutions. Keep a watch out for Puerto Rico. Watch out your funds and be mindful. Until my next video, I'm out.